Found at a local vintage store is this Sharp WQ-T354 X-Bass Boombox. My reason for purchase was to check out the back-to-back dual cassette that they label Twin Cam. As we pan around this black plastic hulk, you'll note a 3-band graphic equalizer and a button to activate the X-Bass. The cassette door opens and has room for 2 cassettes. We'll look at that later. On the top, we've got a nice diagram of all the speakers. Apparently there are 5. There's the X-Bass speaker. We have tape modes for continuous play, deck 2, deck 1, and dubbing, along with the usual buttons to operate the cassette mechanism. There's also a line in to this, which is nice to have. And you can see that it is a WQ-T354. Basic AC cord plugs in, and the battery compartment is clean. No corrosion, although this entire thing is extremely dirty and dusty. Playing around with this earlier, I found the radio to be working, the sound to be good, but the cassette doesn't work, although you can hear the motor spin. There are 8 screws on the back of the boombox to remove, and I used my long Phillips head screwdriver to do so. Excuse the poor camera work here, but I'm just trying to highlight where all the screws are that need to be removed, including one in the battery compartment. Loosening all the screws, and I use a magnet to then fish them out, and they're pretty long, and all of them are identical. And once that happens, carefully use something to pry the case open. I've already done so, but it's always good to be careful when you take these apart if they haven't been apart in a long time. With all the screws removed and the case pried apart, it's possible to remove the entire front. You do have to make sure the cassette door is open to do this. I did notice a bit of a rattle inside the boombox, and there we see a screw that's just sitting there. So something's broken or has broken, and we'll have to figure out what that is, and that screw would probably go there. Here's another look inside. I think we've got the transformer there. There's a fuse. A lot of times if these don't work on the AC cord, it's because the fuse is blown. There's a pretty dirty bass port with the bass speaker and the sliders for volume and the graphic equalizer. Cassette mechanism with its really long capstan and 2 pinch rollers, and the radio tuner. The screw I found, it seems to be one of the screws that holds in the cassette mechanism, so that post is broken. And indeed there are plastic shards inside as well, as I found later. Anyway, I loosened the entire cassette mechanism. There's 5 total screws, including that one that has already freed itself. And then there are 2 plugs from the mechanism down to a circuit board that need to be taken off, and kind of hard to get at, but it's possible. And once you do that, you can slide the cassette mechanism out and flip it over. You can see the motor dated 1989, and we'll have to remove that plate to get at the belts and see whatever else might be wrong with this. And when we do remove the plate, there are 3 screws to do that, and here I'm pointing out that there's a screw there, a ground screw that needs to be removed as well. So there's 3 screws to remove the plate. And we can see a problem immediately, and that is the belt is hard and old. but also the clutch cap has come off and is somehow attached to the belt, and the clutch spring is nowhere to be found. So here I've put the clutch cap back on the wrong way, and you can see there's a crack in it. So we're going to need to fix that or recreate that clutch cap somehow and find the spring, which should be somewhere in this case. Here is the belt, and I measure it at around 10 centimeters, maybe a little less. So I've got another belt, but it's a little bit short. However, here, note I've 3D printed a new clutch cap, and I did find the spring. And so I've put that back together. So even though I have a shorter belt, I went ahead and installed it going around the flywheel and the motor. I put the plate back on, flipped the mechanism over, reinstalled it, and here I just want to show that there's a switch on top that you need to ensure connects to the switch on the cassette mechanism, which determines if you're playing cassette deck A or B. I only point this out because when you take the mechanism out, that spring is going to fly somewhere or fall down into the case, and you've got to remember to fish it back out and install it properly. And this is just a tip for the 3 people that might be working on one of these twin can decks in the future. Okay, so the fun part here is to plug it in and see if it's going to work. So I'm going to set the switch on the top to play deck 2, which is the inside deck. And you can see when I hit play, just the inner part of the take-up reel moves, and the outer part does not. The inner pinch roller is down on the capstan. And now I'm going to switch to deck 1. The outer pinch roller is on the capstan, and the outer part of the pinch roller is moving. Really pretty neat. Here's a closer look at this madness with the extremely long capstan, 2 pinch rollers, 2 tape heads, 1 record head. You could call this a 3-head system. Here's just some more close-ups of it working. You can see that I need to do a lot of cleanup on the pinch rollers and the capstan and the heads. I'll be sure to clean everything before I put it all back together. Speaking of cleanup, I wanted to see what was under the grill for the bass speaker, and I was not disappointed with the amount of dust and grime here. I'll be cleaning that as well. Okay, let's try some actual cassettes and see if we can just place them into the mechanism, see if things work. Okay, the inside works. That's deck 2. Let's try deck 1. And you've got to get it lined up just right. A quick note about how goofy this thing is. You can only play and stop on tape 1. On tape 2 is where you can record, play, fast forward, rewind, eject, whatever. You can't even pause on tape 1. I did attempt to test the continuous play, where when tape 1 stops, it starts playing on tape 2, but that didn't work. Perhaps I'll work on that in another video. For now, let's see how this sounds with everything back together.